In this video, I want to talk about how do you manifest a life of abundance, a life that's in alignment with your soul's purpose when we're constantly struggling with our ego in terms of doing and producing and following old ways of programming to get things done, to create a certain life. Well, that certain life that you might be trying to create is a life that is envisioned by your programming. It's traditional programming. It's work hard, get results. Now, when we do that, we're following that lower frequency energy and we're pulling our body out of alignment. We're pulling our energy out of alignment with our higher self, and we are in the realm of the thought and of the programming. And when you follow that, a lot of energy goes into that to try to produce results. And the results you're going to produce are going to be extremely limited because they are based on only a future that your mind can perceive based on programming. So when you're operating from a lower frequency to manifest a life of abundance or the life that you want, it's like walking through mud. If you could imagine that, you know how much energy it takes to just take these small steps through mud. Now imagine doing that over a long period of time. You're going to get drained as more of your energy gets pulled out of alignment, pulled out of your body and into your mental field. You are going to get drained. You're going to get fatigued. You're going to lose your momentum. You're going to lose your motivation. You may even start to get sick. And that is happening because you are simply being pulled out of alignment. You are trying to manifest something from a limited perspective using limited means to do that. Now, when we learn to trust, and I've talked about learning to trust, it's almost counterintuitive because how can we just sit and trust something that we really can't see, feel, taste, touch, or smell, right? We have to have a certain trust to really get into that alignment to know that this is a possibility that could come forward, that our life's purpose can manifest, a life of abundance, a life of gratitude and joy can manifest, but without seeing the actual results, without being able to touch them tangibly, right? That's the main difference between trusting your journey and allowing your energy to flow to manifest that highest frequency timeline and trying to create something based on a limiting set of beliefs or a limited rule set. So when we're making that transition from that limited rule set into trusting, it can be very ironic. Like it can be very counterintuitive. Okay. It's like, well, I have to let go of the doing so that I could start to create a life of abundance. Well, that doesn't make sense. And that doesn't make sense because that's not in alignment with your programming. Okay. It is counterintuitive from your programming, but that's the whole point. So when you're feeling this call to meditate, or you're feeling this call to hit the pause button, you're feeling this call to just sit and be, that is your higher self's way of signaling you to slow it down so that you could get out of that mental field, get back into the body and allow something new to come forward. In order for that to happen, we have to create that space for that to happen, right? When we're constantly focused on scheduling and doing and staying busy, we are not creating the space to allow that new to come through. We are creating from a limited perspective, which is going to create limiting results that can only be anticipated. So when we want to live our highest timeline, we need to step away from that. We need to be available for things that we can't perceive in the moment, things that we can't envision, things that we can't predict even. And that's the whole magic of life. If everything were predictable, like the mind tries to do, there's very little magic that's available to us in life. Now, we've all come here to experience magic, to work with this energy, okay, to feel all of it. Now, in order to allow that magic to manifest, you have to let go of what your mind thinks reality is all about. So when you could bring it back to the body, become a little bit more energy and a little less human, a little less particle, something new is allowed to come forward. And that is something that you have not been able to perceive. So when people have spontaneous awakenings, they have some event in their life, and all of a sudden something happens. There's a shift, and this big rush of energy comes through, and all of a sudden a world opens up to them that they had forgotten actually existed. Why? Because they were living in the mind living in the limiting beliefs and programming up until that point. So they didn't have the awareness to be able to perceive something greater. Okay, so when we can pull ourselves out of that and anchor into the body and start to feel, we become available to perceive things that are beyond this reality. And that includes aligning with a higher frequency timeline, allowing a higher frequency version of you to land that can really reconstruct this time space reality in a way that is in alignment with that high frequency energy. It creates abundance, creates joy, creates gratitude. It creates opportunities that you would not have been able to perceive if you followed your, continue to follow your programming. Okay, so again, this is counterintuitive. We need to stop, hit that pause button, and feel what's happening in the body to allow that new, that was unperceptible, unperceivable, to flow through you. And if you try this over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to start to feel a detachment from the constant doing. This has been happening with me lately too, because even as we grow and we get to new levels, we get to new heights in frequency, we start to become patterned in that frequency. Okay, so what was originally maybe stepping out of our comfort zone, we get into a new area that doesn't feel so comfortable. We start to establish patterns, and then that becomes comfortable. So there's another opportunity then, if we could get back centered and hit that pause button and kind of detach from those new programs, to allow something new again to come through. So if you can do this repeatedly, you will start to notice that new is a constant flow through you. And that's where things get really exciting. Remember, with each level up, that comfort bubble is going to reappear. You're going to get used to it. But there's going to come a point in time where you're going to start to realize that you're doing the same things over and over again, maybe different than when you were at a lower frequency version of you, but yet new patterns are emerging that are in alignment with old programming, with the doing and the scheduling and keeping busy and all of that. So we need to continually be aware that that's happening as we level up and start moving more towards our higher frequency timeline. We want to allow the space to allow even new higher frequency versions to land that could propel us into a space of unknown that's not predictable, and continue to do that. And as you embrace that energy, as you start to get back into a little bit of the programming at your new level and start doing things in a more predictable way, that's going to start to feel off to you. Okay, you're not going to really resonate with that. You're going to realize that, hey, I need to get back center. It's okay to detach and let go from some of that stuff and allow new to come through, because I'm ready to up level again. Okay, so again, we're talking, it's counterintuitive. Sometimes we need to slow down or pause to really take these great strides and move forward. That way we could get out of that linear thinking as to what the mind thinks this reality, how it should unfold and lay out, and get into a quantum field where there's infinite possibilities. And when we could hit that pause button and center up and breathe and feel and meditate, and again, do this, focus on this, just pausing over the next few weeks when you're meditating throughout your day, take some pause, say, okay, I'm going to stop. My mind is going on things I have to do. I'm going to stop. I'm going to sit. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to be present and let go of some of that stuff. And give yourself just a moment of awareness to allow yourself to shift and get into alignment with receiving new ideas and new things that were not perceivable to you. They were not within your awareness because you were so focused on doing things and keeping busy in a certain way. So again, even as we up level, we're still going to be tied into some extent from those old ways of doing, but it is very important to be able to bring a greater awareness to the process and allow yourself the opportunity to just slow it down and hit that pause button so that you can be available for that new to come through. Thank you.